way. And Adelgis, since he's now feeling better, decides that he wants to come as well.
And this is where chapter 49 starts up as the Occult Compass. Adelgis does know that Karna has a lot of deep secrets and has agreed with her to not divulge any of them so long as she doesn't lie to Volk. And Adelgis is seeming rather cold to Volk lately.
And some of that might be, Adelgis mentions that he can essentially hear everyone's thoughts, and this includes all their petty thoughts and some of the noise that comes through with them. So it could very well be impacting his mood just because he hears the negatives that you don't usually hear.
But I mean, Volk even made a comment about him looking like a vagabond like 5 minutes after Adelgis is resurrected, essentially. Volk goes to Illia's room back at the inn to get the Occult Compass, and Illia has taken a rather aggressive attitude towards him. Granted, Volk hasn't really had a chance to mention why he threw the fight, but Volk does want to borrow the compass, so it's kind of that, like, how do we get this the fastest? Now, one thing I did think about was, would the compass work on a doppelganger, since the doppelgangers can hide their magic from mimics? Or is this something that, like, doesn't matter what you are, because it said they can find anything, or any Eldarin. But again, it's just one of those inner workings of how the magic works and how the doppelganger specifically can hide their magic.
It is a good question, and the one thing I think is the Occult Compass isn't based on mimic magic. It's based on like the all-seeing sphinx. So it would really depend if the sphinx can identify the doppelganger or not. And I'm curious as well. It's also a curious one because there just aren't very many doppelgangers. Like, it's a tough one to test out.
Right. We'll have to think about that one. Anybody else wants to put their input on that, please let us know what you think. So Illia does decide that she wants to send Nicholin with Volk just to make sure that Volk doesn't get in any trouble.
Because Nicholin is so great at keeping people out of trouble.
Just try not to like have him get swallowed and then teleporting out of the person.
Falling into mugs of ale.
Right. So Nicholin is kind of feeling like a forgotten child between Illia and Zaxis since they became an item. And Nicholin has decided that he's going to be extra sneaky when he's tricking Zaxis, because he said that he can trick Zaxis whenever he wants without Zaxis actually knowing that it was Nicholin that did it. Volk gets out of the inn, and all of a sudden now he's got this new posse. He's got Adelgis, he's got Fain, and Karna with them, and then they all got their Eldarin. All I can think about is them walking down the middle of the street, the four of them like shoulder to shoulder, early hours in the morning. These people merchants are trying to get their carts packed up so they can get the hell out of there before the end of the tournament. And just seeing all of them walking down like, oh gosh, what crap are they about to start? This is where Volk actually realizes he probably hasn't seen Karna's Eldarin, but Adelgis does say that he has been, but Volk has never recognized him.
And another curious thought about those is the doppelganger is always taken on someone else's look. I'm always curious what they look like when they aren't taking on an appearance. Do they have like a default like me character that's kind of what I picture happens when they're not transformed, just a little like do.
The me central or whatever it's called.
Yes.
That music instantly popped in my head.
Bopping up and down a little bit.
Doppelgangers are scarecrow-looking beasts with hay bodies that are stained with blood. They are formed by the mother of shapeshifters to be the size of a fully grown human adult, and just like nightmares and reapers, the older a doppelganger gets, the more clothing they sprout. Since doppelgangers shapeshift to look like other humans, few have ever seen their base scarecrow form. If a doppelganger shifts into a larger human or smaller one, the hay of their body flushes out or condenses as needed. When untransformed, they smell of gore.
And then Volk is probably also realizing that it would be really annoying to be able to hear everybody's thoughts at all times. And I feel bad enough that people have to hear what comes out of my mouth that doesn't get filtered from my brain to my mouth at work. And I've apologized for that. And my wife has apologized for that as well. So I can only imagine the sheer amount of random thoughts that he hears.
And also just the noise of it. If you're in a crowded person, you're hearing everybody's thoughts all the time. I don't know how you would filter anything in and out or make any. It just seems like it'd be a constant white noise going on.
So Volk is continuing to follow the compass and ends up at an old woodworking shop. Volk does offer to go in to investigate and gather information only. So he's not going to fight anybody. And maybe we should have told somebody that Volk is going to look for this ghoul arcanist. Like, maybe there's somebody in particular that he is an apprentice to or a mentor that he has.
That's
Like,
really worried about his safety.
Right, is worried about his safety. Maybe, like, I don't know, Master Zelfrey?
Nope, he's good.
So Volk sees this as his duty as being part of the member of the Frith Guild. And before he goes in there, he just tells Nicholin, like, hey, if anything happens, go tell Zelfrey.
Instead of telling him beforehand, tell
Right.
him after the fact. And when they're going in, Karna also wants to go in, but Volk doesn't trust her. And also, she doesn't have a very good escape path where Nicholin can always teleport out. He can always shadow step away. So there is some reason to his madness that, it's a lot easier for them to get out if it does turn into a nasty situation.
And we do want to thank everybody for listening today. We want to remind everybody that we do post new episodes every Wednesday morning around 11 Eastern, 10 Central, and 8 Pacific Standard. We're on all podcasting platforms, and we are also on YouTube for videos as well. We want to thank our editor, Dan Mackison, for including pictures and links to everything. And if you want to reach out to us, we are on Gmail at frithguildpod@gmail.com or on Facebook or other social medias at Frith Guild Podcast. Do you want to thank the Frith Chronicles Wiki, and do remind everybody that is a great resource to use in the next few weeks. I do also want to mention that our interview for Between Books 3 and 4 is going to be John Stovall, Shammy's husband, as he is also an author, and we just wanted to sit down and talk with him. So we're definitely excited to talk with him. Scott, did you have anything else you'd like to add today?
Like, share, subscribe. Feel the love.
Thank you. All right, we'll talk to you everybody next week.